Hi there everybody, Lucy Sturgis here, Lucy Sturgis Cycling, and I hope you're all doing well. I know I've been once again a little bit absent and not great with the regular posting. We're here again. Like, my mental health hasn't been great recently. I've had a few things going on, so basically just over the last week and a bit I've had some personal struggles. Yeah, and I always know I'm not feeling great when I start feeling things physically. Like, that's some of the key signs for me. So I struggle with depression sometimes, and I've been pretty stable for a while actually. I always find winter hard, and I've had something that's kind of really wobbled me recently. But yeah, I feel it really physically, and some of the early signs for me are that I start, the top of my arms feel like I'm being held down or like restricted. I think that's quite personal to me. I've never heard anyone else say that they have that. And then when it really sort of takes hold of me, usually at the weekends when like I sort of allow myself to stop, and it just takes over me completely and I can't do the things that I enjoy. So like getting out for a ride this weekend was impossible. It's actually nearly 4 o'clock on a Sunday and I've managed to get myself out, and I've brought myself to somewhere that I always find really comforting. So being outside in nature, woodland, there's something about trees that are really healing and I find really special, and I've spoken about this before. Yeah, so just got to take it steady again. But I've got some really cool plans this year that I really want to do, like bike packing bits, and it's kind of fitting it in because I have some family caring responsibilities that I take on. I have a full-time job that's really busy. Obviously I have a partner, he's not a cyclist, so you know, I want to make time for him as well. And yeah, it's just a lot sometimes. Life is just a lot, isn't it? So I know I'm not alone in my struggles, but yeah, just to fill you guys in on where I am basically. So yeah, but I have to say it feels nice to be out. It feels relaxing and I love it here. I do love these woods, and I posted a little video once before about the healing power of trees and just how special it is. But yeah, but I do also have something else to tell you guys about that I'm really proud of, and it's something to be excited about. Yeah, so I did a thing and I am actually now a published author. So yeah, a few years ago I did a bikepacking trip. It was 2021 and it was like one of my, I'd done a bikepacking trip before, so I had done trips before. The first one was I got a train to Land's End and then I cycled back home to Leicester. And I've always had a thing about cycling long distances, and like Land's End, John O'Groats, it's a bit of a bucket list trip. But then I decided I really wanted to continue the journey and go from Leicester to John O'Groats. It was a tricky time because COVID and stuff, and when I did my first Land's End to Leicester trip I stayed in youth hostels along the way, but actually the planning for accommodation got really difficult. The prices were crazy, and I just kept changing my route. So I thought, I really want to do this, I had to find a way to do it. So I took my tent and I camped, and it was just like an amazing adventure, and it was so empowering. Like, I felt amazing when I did that, and I felt like if I can do that I can do anything. And kind of, I mean, it ties in with mental health as well, because I feel like the really difficult things that I've been through have fueled some of the hardest things that I've done, and that definitely is no exception. So yeah, I am a published author. I mean, don't expect anything too polished, to be fair. It's just a little, yeah, don't expect anything too polished. It's a memoir of my trip, basically, from my front door to John O'Groats. So I talk about some of the people that I met along the way, some of the places that I camped, how I felt about wild camping in the middle of nowhere for the first time, the bad weather, staying with a warm showers host. Yeah, it's just an amazing trip, and I think it's one that I really, really am proud of. I've done a few cycling things that I feel, you know, I'll give myself credit, I am really, really proud of, and that definitely is one of them. And something special about this trip, I sort of set off. I hadn't really told many people what I was doing because I didn't actually know if I could do it, and I thought if I just start pedalling north and get to the Peak District, and if I don't like it I can just get on a train and come home. I mean, deep down I'd be really disappointed if I didn't do it, but I feel like by not sharing too much you lower the expectation. Yeah, so I'm going to put the link up for you guys. It's a Kindle ebook, so you can read it on your Kindle, or if you've got a smartphone or iPad you can read it on that as well. Yeah, so I might also just read a little extract for you. So here we go, here's a little extract from my book, Cycling Journeys Destination North. And it's called Destination North because when I was posting the rides on Strava I didn't want to straight away say where I was going, so I just put Destination North, and no one knew how north that would be. If you waited for the perfect time to do things, nothing would ever happen. There were always a million reasons not to do something. Reasons to be scared, things that prevent us from achieving what we want. The voices in our heads that will tell us to wait, prepare a little longer, or just to put it off. I know that I'm certainly guilty of this. Even as I write this, I feel a bit of a hypocrite, especially with my round-the-world cycling aspirations that seem so daunting, so far off, yet somehow still within reach. The reality is, if I waited for the perfect conditions, if I waited until I felt completely ready, then none of my trips would ever have happened. You can wait forever for the right time, but that moment often never comes. I kept thinking, what if I'm not fit enough? What if carrying all my kit takes its toll? What if I can't find a place to wild camp? These questions were in my mind, but in the end, really, whilst all important considerations, a lot are just distractions. I didn't tell many people about my plan before I left. Only a small circle of people who I knew would be supportive, or at least open-minded enough to not question every detail. There's a certain kind of magic in keeping something like this to yourself at first. It's not that I didn't want to share my plans, I just didn't want to invite too many opinions or too many doubts. I've always found that when I share a big idea or a dream, I'm bombarded with other people's expectations, suggestions and fears, and can feel put on the spot when I enjoy just working it out as I go. Soon enough, the roads began to challenge me with some significant climbs. I was hit with one after another, constantly going up and down with little respite. It quickly became clear that today's stage would be hilly. I had a lot of tough terrain ahead. The climbs were long, steep and relentless. One particularly brutal climb came just as after I passed through Hebden Bridge. The road kicked up sharply and I was soon grinding my way up a cobbled path. The surface was uneven and tricky, and the challenge was amplified by bikepacking luggage. A lightweight carbon racing bike handles completely differently when it's weighed down with bags, however light you pack, and I could feel every ounce of added weight as I slowly inched up. The effort felt like a slog. My legs soon felt sore, and the headwind wasn't doing me any favours. I had hoped for some tailwinds today, but instead, the wind was fierce and unforgiving, pushing against me. I couldn't help but worry that the winds would remain unfriendly throughout the trip. But in true cyclist fashion, I reminded myself that the forecast was promising better conditions in the days ahead. So, shameless little plug here, but if you are interested in my book, Cycling Journeys Destination North, it's now available as an ebook on Amazon, and I will leave the link. And yeah, thanks, and I hope you enjoy it. Just going back to the mental health stuff though, if you are somebody who struggles with depression, do you ever fully get over that? Or is it always something that you have to manage and it's always there? Because I feel like this is always going to be there. I feel like this is something that I'm never ever going to be fully free from. And I do everything right. I try and do my best to manage it. So something called a mental health platter. I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but it's something that I use as a coping strategy really, and I can't try to implement this into my everyday life. So it's about bringing all the things that you need for your own well-being into your life every day, and that can include nutrition and hydration. sleep and rest, but also creativity, physical activity, and then also some personal connection as well with other people. And I try and bring those in every day. I think I'm really good with my self-care because I know that I need it. And cycling also plays a huge part of my self-care and for my well-being. And it's kind of something that's like deeply important to me. So I started cycling off the back of Not a Great Place, and I talk about this a little bit in my book. And I've always sort of held it in my mind that if it got me through that time, it can get me through anything. But then at the same time, I'm sometimes in this cycle where I can't do what I need to do, and I have to just stop, and then I have to start steadily and work back up again. And it's really hard. It's tough. And in many ways, I'm really proud of the place that I came from. But a few years back, I was in a really bad place, and it was a really, really difficult time. And I honestly, when I came out of that, through having the awareness that I do now, I felt like I'd never go through that again, because I just thought I'd never be back in that place. But I've had a few blips where, like, actually it has been really difficult, and it's often like external things that are going on around me that kind of infiltrate into that. So yeah, I don't know. Are you somebody that's kind of totally got over it? Have you gone through a bad patch and then totally got over it and moved on? Or is it something that's kind of always there? I'd be interested to know. But one thing I will say is that when I do finally get the strength to get up and out and take myself to the places that make me feel better, like this, yeah, it's almost like you've stepped out from under a massive rock or something. Yeah, it feels special. And I always want to be open with you guys. Like, I feel like you've been there for a lot of this journey, and I get some amazing supportive comments, and I can honestly say it means so much to me, like, truly. So thank you all. But yeah, I enjoy sharing the parts of my outdoor life, so the cycling, camping, hiking, and I'm always going to be open about talking about mental health, and not just the glossy side of mental health, like the it's okay to not be okay stuff. Like, and yeah, that's a very valid point, but I just feel sometimes it scratches the surface of actually a really quite serious topic. Yeah, and it can be very dark. So yeah, I don't want to talk about it and bring everyone else down, but equally it's a valid topic for me. So yeah. So thank you for listening, everybody. Well, thank you everybody once again for watching another one of my videos, and I'm really hoping that I will be back out on my bike next week, so I hope to take you with me then. Thanks, and have a good week.